Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hoopers Nation, your top destination for NBA basketball content. After their win over the Utah Jazz on August 3rd, the Los Angeles Lakers clinched the #1 seed in the Western Conference, solidifying their status as the best regular season team in the Western Conference. However, if their bubble play as a whole is any indication, the Lakers look like anything but the best regular season team in the West. They have one of the most impressive and stacked rosters in the whole league, but that talent hasn't translated into wins or much dominance on the court. Whether that's been the case because of the team playing lazy defense, due to lack of chemistry, or simply getting overconfident, the results have still been far from what you'd expect by a team led by LeBron and Anthony Davis. In this video, we'll take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers' run in the NBA bubble thus far, and discuss whether they're in deep trouble with the NBA playoffs around the corner. Before we start though, please, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more NBA content. At the time this video is being recorded, the Los Angeles Lakers have a 2-4 record since the NBA restart. And even though there was a lot of uncertainty coming into the bubble, it is fair to say that such a record is way below expectations for one of the favorite teams to reach the NBA Finals, and especially for a team that has as much talent and star power. After a very impressive bubble opener win against the Los Angeles Clippers, little seems to be clicking for the Lakers. In their very next game against the Raptors, both teams were playing very competitive basketball until halftime, after which Toronto managed to outplay the Lakers with Anthony Davis struggling to find a rhythm from the start and LeBron James doing most of the work before the game got out of hand. The exact same story was repeated against the Oklahoma City Thunder, with the Lakers losing by 19. Then, against the Rockets, Davis was having a pretty good night, but the team really struggled due to James's absence, as he was out resting a minor groin injury. And the very next game in James's return, Davis returned to his struggling ways against the Indiana Pacers, shooting just 3 for 14 from the field, while James carried the team on his back with the help of the Lakers bench before losing a very close matchup. In the Lakers' only 2 bubble wins, that opening contest against the Clippers and their 1-seed clinching victory over the Utah Jazz, Anthony Davis looked much more impressive. And it wasn't a coincidence that those were the team's best 2 showings since the restart of the season. At the time of this video's recording, Anthony Davis has season averages of 26.1 points, 9.4 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 2.3 blocks, 1.4 steals, and 2.5 turnovers while shooting 50.1 from the field, 33.2 from 3, and 84.8 from the foul line. Those numbers are nothing short of amazing, and in those 2 games against the Clippers and Jazz, he looked even more impressive. He scored 34 and 42 points respectively, including a combined 6 3-pointers in both games on 46.2 accuracy. Most importantly, he imposed his will against the opposition. It's especially impressive how Davis manhandled the back-to-back reigning Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert, as the Jazz could not find an answer for the brow. Davis made an example out of Gobert, an elite rim protector and interior defender, by bringing him out to the perimeter and making some tough shots over him. But outside those 2 outstanding performances, Davis has not done much else to help the Lakers' luck. While AD has had a pair of statement games in the bubble, fellow superstar LeBron James has had a rather quiet stint. That's not to say he hasn't continued to put up some good numbers, as he's averaged 21.6 rebounds, 6.4 assists, and 9.6 rebounds on 45.2 overall shooting in Orlando. Still, we haven't heard as much media buzz about James as other stars like Luka Doncic, TJ Warren, or Devin Booker. In fact, James had yet to match or exceed his 2020 regular season average of 25.3 points per game until his 31-point outburst against the Pacers. And he hasn't dished out double-digit assists in any of his 5 appearances. That's unusual considering he leads the league in assists at 10.3 per night. But in reality, there shouldn't be a need for James, or anyone on the Lakers in fact, to sweat out these last couple of regular season games. At the end of the day, they achieved their end goal of securing the #1 seed in the Western Conference. Now that certainly doesn't justify a handful of bad losses they've taken, as there's still some rust to knock off after a 4-month basketball hiatus. Coming into the bubble without key contributors Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo, the Lakers still have adjustments to make. Also, giving out wins to teams like the Rockets and Thunder is not ideal at this point, because regardless of the context they came in, a win over the Lakers this close to the postseason has to be a confidence booster for any team that could possibly face them in the playoffs. Recently, LeBron was quoted as saying, "Health is wealth," emphasizing the importance of everybody getting into the playoffs as close to 100% as possible. Quote, "Going into the postseason as healthy as we can be is what's most important," end quote. History really shows that outstanding regular season records and accomplishments turn out to be meaningless if that success isn't followed up by the team delivering in the NBA playoffs, when it truly matters most. Just ask the 2016 Warriors. Still, the Lakers and the whole league find themselves in an unprecedented situation. Never before had teams been forced to stop the season just 1 month before the playoffs, return 5 months later with incomplete rosters, and still be expected to pick up where they left before the stoppage. This is why Lakers head coach Frank Vogel has no plans to overly rest his players, even when the team already got what it wanted out of the regular season. Vogel said, "We still have a lot of areas to continue to improve before we feel like we're ready to win games in the playoffs and be at the level we want to reach. For us, we're still in habit-building mode and continuing to just iron some things out that were not quite where we wanted them when the hiatus hit." The explanation of why Anthony Davis needs to be the focal point of the Lakers' game plan moving forward is found behind that exact quote. And regardless of what James said about getting healthy to the playoffs, you can rest assured that LeBron is as big of a supporter of that philosophy as anybody in the Lakers organization. It's plain and simple. There's a much bigger upside for the Lakers if Anthony Davis can enter the playoffs in dominant fashion and fully locked in. At 35 years of age, LeBron understands he'll struggle to find much success in the playoffs unless he has enough help. While James is still one of, if not the best player in the league, he's adapted his game and taking his playmaking skills to a new level this season with Anthony Davis's arrival to the Lakers. That's translated to James's career-high 10.3 assists per game. And thus far in the bubble, rather than seeing LeBron trying to fully impose his scoring dominance at will, he's done his best to try and set up Davis for success and ensure the spotlight is mostly on the 6'11" big and not really on him. Unluckily for them, Davis has only thrived in that spotlight on very few occasions. And when you look at the bigger picture, it's become abundantly clear that Anthony Davis and not LeBron James will be the key differentiator for the Lakers come playoff time. So, if the Lakers are dead set on winning their first NBA championship since 2010, they need their superstar big man to unleash the intimidating, unstoppable monster that's inside of him. That's why it's so important for the team to continue feeding Davis as much as possible before the start of the playoffs. And even more important, AD needs to get used to the big stage and high-pressure situations that the Lakers are set to face come playoff time. LeBron already has that playoff DNA. With 239 career postseason games under his belt, LeBron is only 20 behind all-time leader Derek Fisher, who played in 259. He could very well surpass Fisher if the Lakers can make it to the NBA Finals. In comparison, Davis has a total of 13 playoff games, and was almost swept twice by the Warriors in his lone 2 postseason appearances with the New Orleans Pelicans. The point is here that James doesn't need any warm-up for the playoffs, as he's used to turning into zero dark third 23 mode once the postseason begins. So why is Davis such a big key to the Lakers' championship aspirations? All you have to do is look at the potential competition he's faced to set in the postseason. Nikola Jokic may be a big star, but he's not known for his defensive work. Yes, he has improved vastly on that, and a slimmer body sure helped, but he's no match for AD. After trading away Clint Capella, there's no one on the Rockets who can even come close to stopping Davis inside the paint. We already saw how Davis dominated Rudy Gobert in his recent matchup with the Jazz, and it's clear you put someone big on him, and Davis can comfortably drag them out to the perimeter and score from there. Anthony Davis has proven capable of doing all this and being a dominant force. The key question is, can he do it consistently and under high pressure? If he can, then the Lakers have to be the favorites to make it out of the West and reach the NBA Finals. But if he can't, then the Lakers are in deep trouble, leaving it up to LeBron the 2020 NBA championship? Or do you think the Lakers have proven that they're not championship material? Make sure to comment what you think down below, as well as leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you on the next one.